Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Christopher Krebs, the former head of CISA. This is a man who weaponized his position against free speech in the election context, in the context of COVID-19. A presidential memorandum to the one you just signed. It assurances he might have, and further instructs your Department of Justice, other aspects of your government, to investigate some of the malign acts that he participated in while he was still head of CISA.
This is another one. I don't know that I met him. I'm sure I met him, but I didn't know him. And he came out right after the election, which was a rigged election, a badly rigged election. We did phenomenally in that election. Look what happened to our country because of it. Open borders, millions of people coming into our country. Russia and Ukraine, that would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. Afghanistan, the way that they withdrew with 13 dead, but so many killed, actually. I mean, so many killed outside of the 13 soldiers, hundreds of people killed. And maybe, I don't know, never mentioned, but I mentioned it, 42 or 43 people so badly injured, the legs, the arms, blown off, the face. And this is all because of an incompetent group of people that preceded us, and that would have never happened. And this guy Krebs was saying, oh, the election was great, it was great. Well, it's been proven that it was not only not great. When you look at all these lawyers at law firms that are signing, giving us hundreds of millions of dollars, it was proven by so many different ways in so many different forms, from the legislatures not approving to the...
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Patrick here. We did have last-minute behind-the-scene changes. We did have Joe, Ben from yesterday, and Vince Lancy ready to roll, but there was an issue with Vince and issue with Joe, all within the last 30 minutes. Everyone's safe and fine, just scheduling conflicts and issues just happen, right? And then sometimes that stuff just happens. So we're rescheduling that show for next week sometime, get all three back together. But I'm here, so welcome. Class is in session. And you just saw President Trump talk about the 2020 election, and we hammer on that every day here on the show because people are selected, not elected. And when you have selected leaders put in charge, not representing the will of the people, you get the systems that we are seeing each and every day. And Trump is putting info out there. Gabbard has declassified documents. Where are the actionable steps and the arrest? That's the holdup. Right? If you've been paying attention, if you've been keeping your head up, looking around, it is blatantly obvious how stolen and how just degenerative our election system is. Mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, no ID required, right? Just there is no reason to have all these non-existing safeguards except to promote the chaos and the fraud that is needed to perpetuate the selected, not elected members of Congress. And that's not just in Congress. That trickles down local and state, right? And then you got the federal. So at every level, our voices are trampled on. The will of the people is not reflected because the system refuses to allow that to happen. And when you have a system that refuses to do that, then you need to build a fortress of lies on top of that to make sure that system stays intact. And that's what we're fighting, right? That's what we fight every day, the fortress of lies that is spread all on social media through the mainstream media, that the elections were safe, secure, Trump's crazy, anyone that questions the elections has an alternate agenda, you're this, you're that, you get canceled, you get deplatformed, get sued, get arrested when you uncover fraud, and then get sentenced to 9.5 years in jail, right? Just look at Tina Peters. Just look at the absurdity. Just look at the absurdity here in the state of Colorado. Tina Peters is in jail on state charges. 9.5 years. In the same state, you could rape a child 3 times before you go to jail. you see numerous dangerous offenders let off from being sentenced to jail because of their mental capacity. So because Tina is smart, understands the system, got proof and evidence of the system, you have to squash her. That's what that means. Clear as day. Election fraud was uncovered. She got it. System was wiped after. She kept the data. Boom, here it is. Oh, no, 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 no. You over there. Oh, can you bring this in trial? No, 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 no. Oh, right? Just keep smacking us out of the way because you need that fortress of lies to keep the system intact. And even when something comes up that shows a chink in the system, shows the issue of the system, no, system just doubles down. Nope. Status quo, keep moving as forward, right? So you need to take a wrecking ball to this entire system because the American people are getting stepped on and trampled all because we've allowed it to happen. And our systems have been hijacked. And we're too busy chasing the buck, raising our families, and believing for a long time now that our politicians were selected and they weren't selected, they were elected, and they were reflecting the will of the people. But that hasn't been the case. And it's taken a great awakening, a long dose of red pilling for a lot of people to actually understand and see where we are as a republic. The people would have a say in their government if we were a republic or not. We're an authoritarian state built on lies that gives you the perception that you have freedoms, that gives you the perception that you have choice. And when in reality, you don't. Do you have a say of who comes into this country? No. Do you have a say who gets entitlements in this country? No. Do you have a say what can be taught to your children in schools? No. You know what freedoms you do have? You have a freedom to get a job, and you have a freedom to pay the taxes to the corrupt officials to make sure they beat you over the head with a sledgehammer every day so that you keep chasing your hamster wheel. And you keep busy so that you don't pop your head up over the surface to actually look at what's going on and around you in today's society. Systems based on lies. Theft and stolen elections. And then if you called it out and you provided proof for it, what'd you do? What'd they do to you? Defame you? Boom, slap you with lawsuits. And normal people cannot take lawsuits. Like, they're expensive, they're timely. Like, most people can't, so they'll go away. And that message has been sent. And now you see the ramification of that less and less people, that fewer and fewer people are willing to really take that next step and put their name out there and be out there and be vocal about issues. You know, dads, we played a couple of clips yesterday. Dads need to start waking up and getting out front, right? More and more people need to start coming back to the fight and the grit of what made America, America, which is calling out the bullshit and not taking the excuses and lies for an answer at face value. We're critical thinking creatures. How and why? Those are two simple questions that you could ask to any statement that these politicians give you, and if they can't answer a straight up how or why without running deflective answers, you know they're full of shit. And that's 98% of the politicians in front of you because they don't even know what the hell they're saying because they don't have the up-to-date memo from their handlers and their special interest groups that get placed above you. Right? That's why they have their talking points that go out every couple of weeks or every 3 or 4 weeks, right? Just make sure they all stay on the same page. Right? But if you catch them in an intimate one-on-one setting, which they very rarely do, but if you actually get a chance to converse with them, most of them don't know what the hell's going on because they're controlled, because they were selected by their people to be in charge. So they do what their people tell them to do, not what the actual citizens who pay their salaries want them to do. They're partisan gatekeepers. On both sides of the aisle, it's not just the Democrats, right? It's the Republicans too. There's traitors on all aspects, right? And Trump's fighting this massive battle to try and get all this election fraud handled because we're coming up on the midterms. And we've seen the playbook, what's coming from the Democrats. They don't even have a platform. The platform is pain for the right. That's the platform. Like, literally, that's what it is. Pain for the right. Right? You have their politicians talking about how they want to deplatform people that criticize illegal immigration and Democratic talking points. You have other people talking about how we need to actually make economic times harder for those that don't, right? So, like, they're looking at this. They're talking about criminalizing ICE agents and throwing them in jail at the state levels, right? So basically, platform, right? Here you go. DNC, if you're watching this, anyone at DNC, here, this is your slogan. Pain for the right. That's their platform. Because they have no good economic policies, no good international policies. They don't have anything for the American people except we need to get Trump out and we need to unleash hell on the people that supported him. Because that's how they feel about us. Because all we're doing is saying, hey, we want this country back. We want American values to be restored. We want the government to stop walloping us over the head and taking every last cent from us. We want illegals to stop coming into this country and telling us we're racist. We want all our money to actually go to our children and the benefit of our society. And it hasn't been for a long time. And more people becoming awakening to that. And the politicians are feeling the pressure, but still don't give a shit to change course. Why? Because the special interests, the ones that really matter to them the most, where the donors' bucks come from, don't want them to change course, because at the end of the day, it's the special interests that are accumulating wealth and power over us through these selected leaders that they have in charge. So let's put this post up. That video you saw got posted by Tony Saruga. And that came from this post, and I found this post because Joe had it on his X feed, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But this video that we just shown, that we opened the show with, came from this post. So if you take a look here, Election Day cabal unmasked. While America voted, CISA convened Dominion, big tech, media, and partisan allies for a real-time partner update, as Krebs called it, the most secure election ever. Scholars of republics have long understood the peril when the guardians of the franchise huddle in private with the very vendors, tech titans, and officials who administer it, especially on election day itself. The line between security and steering dissolves. And that's what it is. They came together in a small group. And if you take a look, there was work done by an investigative journalist, Yuhita Miller, and she spells it out in that entire post if you just want to scroll through it real quick. And it shows how they systemically stole the elections in 2020. Dispatch a voluntary check-in call invite to its hand-picked election infrastructure subsector coordinating council. The guest list, take a look, over 200 names spanning Dominion voting systems, Eric Coomer, #1, ES&S, Runbeck, Hart, InterCivic, Unison, Smartmatic. Right? All these names sound familiar. Michigan Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, the Elections Group, Lafayette Group, and a roster of aligned NGOs. Oh, NGOs were called on the call too. There, we're going to talk about NGOs today too. 43 member companies and groups, 0 conservative organizations represented. Why? Because they were organizing the freeze out. They were organizing the steal. They were making sure everyone was on the same page. For when the switch went down that night on election night, where you had to close facilities, evacuate this, that, and the other thing, water main breaks, shipping in ballots and pallets, just making sure you got enough paper ballots to scan through the system and rescan them, right? USB drives being passed all around in Georgia, all seen on tape, right? This while Director Kerb simultaneously assured the nation it was the most secure election in American history. It wasn't, and that lie has perpetuated to this day in 2026. The public-private partnership that wasn't. The referees conferencing with the players mid-game while the spectators were told the contest was flawless. Now President Trump has revoked Krebs' security clearance and directed the DOJ to investigate his central role. The documents don't lie. The asymmetry does not vanish. The timing indicts. And then if you scroll down to the bottom, they have some images in the post that show the partners that were together. So yeah, all this came together. It was well organized, all under the guise of COVID, that brought us the stolen election of 2020. But yet, if anyone called that out, and there you go, you see it on there, you see Dominion on there, you see Smartmatic on there. And the moment that people started calling this out, they were canceled, they were bamboozled, they were ran back into a hole, called every name under the sun, defamed, smacked with lawsuits. Right? Even the media was in on the call. I remember Fox News making that call quick in Arizona that night, and I couldn't believe what I was listening to. But, you know, as time went on later into December and January of 2021, it made sense that Fox was in on the shenanigans too, right? The fortress, the lies have to be built by the fortress of lies need to protect the system. And part of that fortress of lies is the mainstream media. Plain and simple. That's why there's been such a spike in the alternative media wing since 2019, 2020. Big time since COVID, right? Because no one believed what was going on with COVID. And here we are, but we're the crazy ones. We're the ones that are misinformed. We're the idiots. We don't know anything. We're the conspiracy theorists. But the more you pay attention, the more the conspiracy theorists seem to be the right ones. They seem to be the right ones. Give me 1 second here. There we go. So yeah, and that leads, of course, when you talk about Kuma, Dominion, and if you've been watching this show long enough, what do you think's next? What's coming? You better believe it. Joe post. Let's put up that Joe post from A3. Because Joe had to respond to it. And here you go. Don't worry about it. Trump's not going to win. I made effing sure of it. Eric Coomer, Director of Strategy and Security for Dominion Voting System, also the Chief Architect for Sequoia Voting Systems in 2005, fresh off being sprung from multiple felonies in California and heroin drug addict. If this were a murder trial, Coomer would be in prison awaiting trial, not free in some other country hiding from justice. If the judiciary was not rotted to the core, the judges would not be asking a lawyer to destroy evidence and would not have sealed evidence in a civil trial of criminal activity by none other than Eric Coomer. The evidence is overwhelming, and I'm a witness that heard his comments firsthand. Yet I've been sued for defamation. Many others have been sued for allowing me to speak for defamation. Almost all of them settled for letting me speak truth. I have been bullied, slandered, and attacked relentlessly. I have been forced to pay sanctions of over $160,000 and had crooked judge after crooked judge lie with impunity. Yet I am a system architect, and I did predict how they did it. I wrote a model in December of 2020, and I took it to Washington by request January 4, 2021. I presented it, predicted the outcome of the Senate runoff election on January 5 nearly perfectly. Over the past 5 years, that model has held true, including the recent Virginia referendum vote that flipped it 51 to 49. Everyone could see it, and everyone could understand clearly what they have done in nearly every state across the nation for decades. I have been called a liar. They say I am too loud and angry at times. I would argue you are not angry enough. You do not care enough about your children or our nation. Much like running onto the beaches of Normandy to save the world, we are in a war for our very existence as a nation. And I would rather win terribly and fight like hell to preserve our nation from these demons than lose graciously and betray the sacrifice of our previous generations of brothers and sisters who fought to give us the opportunity we have today. Being bold and untruthful is not crazy, it's necessary. If you want to give yourself a free pass and look good to avoid being bad while the country and your children burn to the ground, feel free. I'm not built that way, and frankly, it's shameful we are not shaking the walls demanding justice and for the lies to stop. As I see it, you're all slaves until you decide that these demons do not get to snatch from you what was never theirs to snatch. Mr. President, the evidence is abundant. It's time to take down the traitors and restore our republic. Couldn't say it better myself. Those are all Joe's words, but he's 100% over target with all of that. It's about what the generations did before us. It's about what's going to happen to the generations after us. This is our defining moment. It's our defining moment. The generation right now that has children, this is your defining moment. Where do you want your children to end up? How do you want your children to be treated? What type of life do you want your children to have when you're gone? It's a legitimate question that every parent, every father should be asking themselves. You should think about it. Think about what type of society do I want my kid growing up in? Because if you think what's going on now is acceptable, or if you think what's going on now, if you think what's going on now is unacceptable, just wait. Just wait. Just think about the younger generation that is being indoctrinated through a school system that believes this country is systemically racist and oppressive. That's what the majority of public school systems in this country teach, because they follow equity and critical race theory. You can't have equity and critical race theory and believe this country is a great place. So by just applying logic, you're sending your kids to a school to be programmed to hate the country that they're going to live and possibly raise their kids in. What type of future is that setting up for your child? What are you doing to stop that? Are you doing anything? Do you care to do anything? I don't know. Those are all personal choices. I know what my personal choice is. I know what Joe's personal choice is, and I know pretty much everyone's personal choice that I associate with. That's why I associate with them, because they fight. I know there's more of us out there, but we got to find our voice. And the ones that are on the fence, you need to get off the fence and get into the fight, because each day delayed is a day lost. Time is the most valuable thing we have. There's 24 hours in a day. The question is, what do you do with those 24 hours in the day? We're all equal. Time is the same for everyone. What do you use that time and purpose for during those 24 hours? What do you consider important? What do you prioritize? Those are just questions to think about. Just the reality of where we are, because if we're going to change this system, if we're going to fight like hell to change what's coming, to resist the change that's coming, you're going to need to dissect some part of that 24-hour pie. That could be going to speak at some school board meetings, right? I saw yesterday in the comments, people like, well, I want to get involved. I don't know how. I know how. Raise hell. Speak out at your local school board community. I guarantee, go to your school board, go to your district page, see what's going on there. I guarantee you're going to find stuff you don't like, and start calling it out to school board meetings. That's a way to get involved. Because from there, you start talking, right? And then from there, you start meeting people with the same mindset. And then you could start building a community. Communities don't get built overnight. Relationships don't get built if you're just at your home, not talking, meeting, or greeting anybody. You need to get out there. You need to get vocal. And yeah, you could be a keyboard warrior too. Keyboard warrior is good from time to time. But when you really want to wrestle their feathers, you get them face to face and you get them on the record. You get them on the record ditching and dodging and refusing to answer just basic logical questions. That's one way to get involved. Another way to get involved, just start hanging random signs. You know how you see signs that like, oh, garage sale here, and then like a little arrow pointing downtown, right? Just make a little sign, but say, are you happy in America? Scan here, and then have a meetup group. Just start something small like that, just trying to see if you can move the needle somewhere. Because that's how you have to build capacity. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take effort. You're going to move forward a step, and then you're going to fall back two. And then you're going to move forward two and fall back one. And then eventually you're going to move forward two and fall back one. It's a process. It's life, right? It's hard, but that's what we got to do, right? And if you think about it, election fraud, people tried filing suit in 2020, if you remember, right? Different states took it. Individuals tried taking cases. Every which way, courts. No standing, dismissed. Oh, no, that's not, nope, can't file that either. Out of the way, right? Even the courts were in on the rigging. The courts were in on the rigging. The Supreme Court dismissed, I think, 2 or 3 different lawsuits where they could have stepped in and kind of, but they chose not to. And I don't think they chose not to out of the law. I think they chose not to get involved out of fear. Because they knew if this was going to be exposed by them, they would face the brunt of this. So you just let the system keep playing out. No standing. 2020, nope. Completely fine, right? Because the Supreme Court didn't have the guts to take the stand there. That should raise flags in itself. That the Supreme Court was too scared to let a case be heard because they were scared of the population of what the actual decision should have been. And if you have a court that is refusing to act because they are scared by the people, how free are you? Who actually runs the country, right? It's the shock troops that put the pressure on the courts. And those shock troops are then organized by the NGOs and the big money up top. It all works in a vicious circle to make sure that the machine stays intact based on the lie. And the more you understand this, it's easier to see how and why things play out day in and day out on Congress, in the media. It's real easy to see and understand it. And that's where we are in 2026. And that's why Joe's out here doing what he does every day, right? Because he's trying to break the system. And then this dude gets sued. He gets called out. He gets slandered. Get the ADL. The ADL was coming after him. Like, get Anti-Defamation League. They're defaming him. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. All the SPLC, ADL, ACLU, the ABC of the jerk-offs, all these special law groups don't do shit for the American people. All they do is look to actually hurt the American people and put their special interests, hidden agendas in the forefront. That's all they look to do. The ACLU took prayer out of school, like the American Center for Civil Liberties, right? Something like that. Yeah, but they go after to make sure prayer's not in school. Who's civil liberties? Not Americans, right? And the SPLC funding the KKK to promote violence, right? Like if you look at this, white people were branded as violent by the SPLC, who was actually trying to organize the violence. You can't make this shit up. You can't make it up. And then out in California right now, you have Sheriff Bianco. We played a couple of clips of his a while ago. He's running for governor, and he's talking about voter fraud out in California. Listen to what he's being met with it when he's bringing out voter fraud in the supermajority state of California.
We're never going to know if our elections are secure because when law enforcement does legitimate investigations into the allegations, it's stopped by our current Democrat one-party rule in California, particularly our embarrassment of an attorney general. So this was a very, very basic, normal investigation. The allegation didn't come from a group. It came from reports that our own records, county records from the Registrar of Voters that do not match the output of votes counted. So a very simple investigation would have counted those ballots to see if they match the votes. But we now have a massive political outcry from our Attorney General using political lawfare to stop a lawful investigation. And it wasn't stopped. The investigation was not stopped by the Supreme Court. It was stopped so we could argue these ridiculous allegations from the Attorney General about whether or not he has authority to stop that investigation in the first place.
And to clarify, would you consider taking the same action after this primary election if you don't believe the results? You have 15 seconds.
You made that assumption that that's why this happened. That is absolutely horrific that you basically said that I did that because of how I felt. If we get information, I've been 33 years in law enforcement investigating crime. Do you want me to start doing that with murders? I mean, this is ridiculous. This is an absolute ridiculous question. This is a ridiculous topic because we have an allegation of voter fraud. And Californians are sick of voter fraud. They're sick of politics, and they believe there's voter fraud.
Right,
but
Mr.
when we
Bianco.
try to fix it, it is stopped.
All right, Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hill.
All great points. And simply put, if there's nothing to hide, and if there's no fraud going on, just let me make an ass out of myself. And let me do this publicly, and I'll look like a jerk-off, and I'll ruin my political career. Everyone will believe the systems are great, and I'll go away in my hole, right? But they never do that because they know the fraud exists, but yet the fraud can never be shown because of the lawfare. And the courts dismiss it or shush it away or sweep it under the rug. It's so infuriating because everyone knows the system is bullshit, but yet no one is doing anything to actually put a stop to the bullshit. Instead, they come after the sheriff now. He's like, yo, we had more voters than we had eligible voters in the county. There's a problem here. And pop, here comes the lawsuits. Can't look into it. No. Can't look into it. No. Just basic common sense. How do you have more votes than you have eligible voters? You can't do it unless there's fraud. Basic. But yet it gets fought at every turn. It's happened in Michigan, happens in Colorado, happens in California, Illinois. It's all over the place. And the moment someone wants to look under the hood, they shut it down because no, you have no right to look here. We're telling you it's fine. You have no right to look here. And this is the thing, right? Like what's frustrating, well, I shouldn't say frustrating, what's moronic by these people is that here in America, I don't know if they've realized this or not, but here in America, if you tell somebody you can't do that or no, you can't look here, what makes them do? That makes them want to go look harder and find it, right? It's like me telling my 4-year-old, hey, don't do that. I turn around, what do you think he's doing? Right? It's human nature. So when you're telling people, no, don't look here. No, nothing's fine. Nothing's off here. No, believe what I'm telling you, even though you don't know me and I don't know you, but I'm in charge of this system and I don't know how it really works, but I'm telling you it's fine. It's a problem. It's a problem. And that's why when people get canceled on certain social media platforms, it allows some of them to grow more, right? Because when you tell people not to look here, people are going to look there. It's human nature because people are curious. People want to see, people want to know, people want to explore, people want to understand finally. And we're at the point now where people see the system, see what's getting passed in all these state and counties and the bullshit that goes up at the federal level, which is nothing. Like, we didn't vote for any of this. How are these people here? Why are they still making decisions? And why, when we find out that there's problems within the system, we're told everything's fine not to do anything? Because they're all selected, they're not elected. You as an American need to sit down, shut up, don't look at anything, and go back working your 40, 50-hour work week in your little hamster wheel. And you stay there and shut up and sit down until you're 65, and then maybe we'll let you out of there. If we don't kill you by poisoning your food, injecting you, getting you hooked on pharmaceuticals, spraying you with chemtrails, maybe when you get out at 65, we'll let you out there. But not until then. Stay put. Stay put. Do not get up. And that's how they treat us. That's how they treat the American people. And it's amazing that the American people are fine with doing this, right? The American people, a lot of us have just been beaten down. Like, I don't want to deal with it. I'll just go along to get along. Yeah, I can't really change anything. You feel that way because you're acting in isolation. You got to build the community to move the mountain. You can't move the mountain by yourself. You need to build the community. You need to build the capacity. And then you need to get organized. And then you need to have a game plan on what you want to attack. I know what I want to attack. You guys probably know that too. But that's how you do it. And then you had Senator Joe Manchin on the other day on CNN. He's an independent now, if you remember. He switched affiliations a little bit ago. But he's talking about what's going on in Congress as well. Let's listen to that.
Casey, real quick. Everyone's talking about all the different concerns we have and all the different problems and things that we have to overcome. And both of the parties are depending on independence. Where's the independent vote going to go? Because that's going to determine who wins and who loses. Guess what? Once the independents make their determination and either the Democrats or Republicans benefit by it, when they get to Washington, there is no representation of independents. They've got to join the extreme right or the extreme left. There's no center left. There's no center right. There's no moderate at all to be had. They've gone to the extremes. And independents that are basically giving us the different rewards that the party wants, the Democratic Party, well, that's fine. Then you have to come back to the middle. Or the Republican Party, come back to the middle. We're not going to go to these extremes. And it's just unbelievable what's going on. In the last presidential election, all we heard about was the 7 battleground states because 43 had been predetermined. All we're hearing about now is 35 or 40 contested House seats because the other 400 have been determined. This is crazy. And if the independents just basically, we get our act together here, we can make some differences. We can make them change in Washington because right now they're depending on people who are looking for the best person that basically is going to have the guts to stand up and do what's right for the country, not for a political party, but for the people they represent. And right now, neither party is representing the people. They're representing themselves.
And he's right. Neither political party is representing the people. They are representing themselves a little bit, but mostly they're representing their special interests, their donors, where the money's coming from. That's all. Just take a look how well they vote, where the money's coming from. Just follow the money. It's real easy to figure out why nothing is happening here and why the American people don't get anything. Right? Like, hey, we donate to a campaign, right? We see somebody, we're an average American making 70, 80,000, maybe if you're lucky, 100, 120,000 a year. See a candidate, I'll toss them $100. That means something to you. That means absolutely nothing to that candidate. Because the $100 isn't helping fund that candidate's political campaign. He needs big money. Especially if you're running on a national stage, you need big money. So you need to get lobbying groups. You need to get special interest groups, where you can have a meeting with a group and they'll cut you a check for $3 million, right? Efficiency for the candidacy, efficiency. They don't have the time to go meet and try and talk to individual donors day in and day out because I don't got time for that. I'm better than that. No, but that's how you connect with your voters, and that's how your voters get to know you, and that's how the system was originally designed to work. But this system has been long taken over by special interests, big money, big tech, big pharma, right? It's long been hijacked for all these special interest groups to get what they want, to enrich themselves, all at the expense and health of the American people. While we are struggling day in and day out on the ground floor, dealing with all the divisiveness that is force-fed to our politicians from these special interest groups. Let's not forget the Pacific Educational Group. They are a very big proponent of racial equity trainings. They're a big part of this problem. They also have campaign contributions and all that fun stuff to politicians and local school board members. You should take a look into them. Pacific Educational Group, PEG, P-E-G. But these special interest groups then start pushing their garbage into the politicians. The politicians get it into the media gets it into the schools, right? It all becomes a what to do. And it's all dominated by these lunatics that will just want to destroy the American dream and beat down what it is to be an American. And Manchin's right. People in Congress are not representing the American people. We all know that, but yet somehow they keep going back, and no one takes them out at the lower levels either. No primaries, right? Because no one's got the time. No regular Joe wants to get involved. So it just becomes a vicious cycle over and over and over again, which led Joe to put this post up. And I apologize for reading Joe's post. I cannot deliver Joe's post the way Joe can deliver his post. But legitimately, this show was built, tailor-made for Joe right before we started. So I'm rocking it today. I hope he appreciates it. So Joe put this one up. Everyone thinks it, but is afraid to speak it. Even more afraid to write it down. But we are a free people in a free country. I'll go suppress it. Those that lie bully you for it. It's as if the devil itself is afraid not to have clothes on. Just a thought. Have a great day. And are we a free people in a free country? Because what's free about it? You have a freedom to get a job, and then the freedom to get over 50% of your money taken from you by the federal government. That's your freedom. They track you on your cell phone. They listen to you in your house. They got flock cameras everywhere. What freedoms do you actually have? And then if you exercise your freedom of speech, they come after you. They label you an anti-Semite, a racist, a Islamophobe, a homophobe, a transphobe. You know, whatever you are, they throw a phobe at the end of it, and then there it is. Whatever you're preaching, you just throw a phobe at the end, and there it is. And that's what the left does to you. And that's the system, and that's how the system's designed. They don't have actual talking points or things that make logical sense to stand on. So that's what they do when you bring logic and facts. So you need to get used to that. If you're going to start organizing in your local communities, talking to your neighbors, I'm telling you, an easy slam dunk is to start going to school board meetings and go to your city council meetings. Those are slam dunk ways to start getting involved and start getting your voice heard and then connecting with people. And it takes time. It takes commitment. I know it sucks. I get it. What choice do you have? You're talking about you guys were looking for a way to get involved. That's a low-level, superficial way to get involved that could lead to connections. And just to speak about connections, you know, we had a guest on, Mike, a couple of weeks ago talking about what's going on with him in Pennsylvania. And Joe's been talking about, hey, we're going to blow the lid off of Colorado judicial corruption. If you got stories that you want to share, bring into us. Well, you guys shared, and I've been working with a couple of people behind the scenes, and I was able to connect Mike with another one that's experienced a lot of the same corruption, and something real big could come out of that. That's building community. Okay, Joe putting a shot out there, someone sending an email, me thinking, oh, this guy had something very similar. Let me connect these two, right? You could be a gatekeeper for somebody. You could be a pass-through for somebody. You could be someone that builds that connection that leads to something else. You don't have to lead the charge everywhere you go, but you need to be aware and remember all your interactions and think, hey, could I plug in right now and help somebody? Is there a way I could fill a void? Is this person struggling here? This person has the same thing. Maybe I could connect them. Right? These are the small battles that need to take place, that those small battles can eventually lead to something big. Okay, I got connected with Lori Gimmelstein over at Colorado Parent Advocacy Network over me being fired from Cherry Creek because of my job. You know what that turned into? That turned into a federal civil rights lawsuit that's sitting at the DOJ's desk. So it is possible. takes time. It turned into me going to the 10th Circuit on May 12th. Takes time just from having a conversation with a lady, and a lady having a good heart and a drive and an organization where she wanted to do good work. And I didn't meet her on my own. I found her through a coworker that decided to plug in, a coworker that I was talking to about my situation, who experienced something else, where she was called into the principal's office because her husband spoke up at a school board meeting. That's what Cherry Creek does, by the way. Called in a teacher to the principal's office to tell her, you shouldn't be telling your husband what goes on at schools, because that husband then went and spoke at the school board meeting. And then they tracked the husband through LinkedIn. They found his name through the role, because you guys sign up before you go speak. They searched him out through LinkedIn. Pop, found his wife, who's a teacher in the district, called the teacher from the district into the principal's office to give her a talking to. Cherry Creek School District. Okay? But because she got burned, I made a connection because she found somebody. So that's how you do it. You got to build those little connections. And it may lead to something great. May lead to be a friend, but you got to put yourselves out there. You got to start stepping up. You got to start raising voice, right? You got to get plugged in. Find an issue that you're passionate about and find a group that supports it. Election integrity. Tune in here, right? Start talking to your neighbors. Get involved. Okay, call it out the city level. Call it at your county level. When you have your little boards, or even your HOAs, when your HOAs are having meetings and they're absurd. Okay, you can't have a Trump flag, but you can have a BLM flag marker, right? You can't have this, but you can have an LGBTQ flag, right? Call it out at that level too, because that shit needs to stop too, because the HOAs don't balance things fairly. The HOAs actually control the narrative within the community, right? All these systems of deceit are built on these powers that just do whatever the hell they want to do, and you got to stand up to it. And then I saw in the comments today, we were talking about North Carolina being on the news. You better believe North Carolina was on the news. There's rotten evil everywhere. And I hate to say it, a lot of it's in the school system. They're going after the kids day in and day out. If you have the ability to pull your kid from public schools, you got to do it. They got to get cut off at the knees with the funding. President Trump, you need to pull funding for every district that practices equity or critical race theory. It's racism. It is openly racist. Every part of equity, every part of critical race theory, because it's oppressed versus oppressor. And then they label the oppressor as white people. It is racism. It needs to be broken out, and you need to defund every school district that receives federal dollars that still pushes this mess and nonsense. And it's everywhere. It's in every blue state. It is in every blue city. Show me one blue city. Show me, and in that blue city, show me one school district within that blue city that is not promoting equity. I'll have a heart attack on sight if there's one that exists, because they don't. Right? And you're programming millions and millions of these kids coming up through the ranks, a lot of them without fathers, with liberal moms at home that are just as crazy as the teachers are teaching them, right? Just poof, they're going to be set out into the world in 10, 15 years. So this is light work, what's coming down the path. This is light work, what we've seen on the streets, 2020, 2026, right? You got a whole fresh wave, younger wave, bigger wave that's going to be coming. That's going to be combined with the mental rejects of the college age now. And then when those college-age women are 30 years old, they're going to be the ones on X now crying about how I should have had a family. My life is so empty, right? That's not part of the story that they're told in college about being a woman, about raising a family, having children, building something special with a man you love. Never talk about that in college. But check out this clip about the North Carolina superintendent. He was just grilled about children literature. Take a look.
And BDSM outfits, making out, is currently available in your elementary schools. So is sexual imagery allowed or not? Dr. Price, you're looking at the picture. Got the guys in the kick outfits.
I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
You're not sure what you're looking at, but you're okay if you're kindergarten looking at. Is this your goal? Is this what you want kindergartens through fourth grade? I mean, is this the goal? Is this the curriculum? Is this the studies that you want Chapel Hill Carborough School is known for?
I don't understand what the challenge is. I see a pride flag, I see community, I see two couples who appear to be in a loving relationship. They're not breaking any laws, they're not hurting anyone. That's certainly something a child may see in their community. So I'm not sure, what the challenge is there.
Dr. Trice, children are being subjected to this bill. If this is a hill you want to die on, the Democrats want to die on, indoctrinating young children, I wish you the very best. You're on the wrong side of history.
So yeah, BDSM, cover of a book, kindergarten, and the superintendent sees nothing wrong with that. Okay, is there just really a lack of common sense? Or is it just the willful ignorance? It's got to be the willful ignorance, right? Even common sense, you got to be like, yo, that shit's crazy. You shouldn't be putting that in front of a kindergartner. My kid's going to go to kindergarten next year. My kid will not know what BDSM is, won't know what a tranny is, won't know any of that shit because we don't bring it up and we don't need to talk about it at the house because to us, it's not an issue. Right? So what these Democrats are doing is they put this shit purposely in front of children to make it an issue for these children, to bring them into this, to confuse the child, right? It's mental warfare is what they're doing to children. It's cruelty, what they're doing to children. And it keeps getting shoved down our throats and shoved down our children's throats. The fact that you could say there that there is not an issue of having two men, one in a mask and a BDSM outfit, saying that's a loving couple, you are a sick freak if you think that has any place in a public school library where elementary kids go to school. Don't tell me inclusivity. Don't tell me transphobia. No, it's irrelevant. But what you're doing is you're programming these kids in school to basically think how you want them to think and feel what you want them to feel in order to degrade our society and inflict mental harm to as many children as you possibly can. Then that will lead to rifting the divide within the family, which is your whole goal, because you want to break up the families. You don't want the nuclear family. You don't want a strong father in the house. You don't want an independent thinking mom having children because you know what that can breed. So what do? You find ways to drive divisive ways between a loving family and their children by introducing this filth and smut in front of them. That's what the Democrats do. It is absolutely disgusting. And to sit there, I don't see the problem with it. The hell you don't see the problem with it. I know you see the problem with it. But your politics tell you that you have to lie because the fortress is built on lies. Your six-figure salary, that's what I want to look up. There we go. Anyone know what Rodney Trice's salary is for the superintendent of Chapel Hill's car? I'm going to put this into Grok right now. I want to see what this is. Should have thought about this before the show. Sorry, everyone. But yeah, these people, superintendent, six figures, probably 150, 200K. Oh, there we go. As of his appointment in June of 2025, Dr. Rodney Trice's total annual salary as the superintendent of Chapel Hill Carborough City Schools, CHCCS, is $235,000. And he's operating on a 4-year contract. He is operating on a 4-year contract. Oh, here we go. Oh, no, you can't make this up. You can't make this up. In 2021, he was the chief equity and engagement officer making $161K. In 2022, deputy superintendent, 2025, $235K. So in 2021, he was the chief equity and engagement officer. Yeah, okay, that dude, you know what he is? He's a chump. He's a racist. He hates white people, hates white children. That's what they do. And he has no problem shoving that in front of children's mind because he wants to corrupt all the children that go to his district. Because his marching orders is to do that. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Whew. They are brainwashing our kids, man. And now take a look at what Chicago's doing. Chicago's run by lunatics. First of all, you got the mayor who's absolutely out of his bird. And then Chicago's teacher union is also just shit. They are just communist Marxists from jump, right? Like there's nothing redeeming about that organization. That organization is so far off the rails, but yet and they're so politically active, right? Always equity, rah, 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 right? Meanwhile, their kids can't read or write. The Chicago public schools, they can't read or write. But take a look at this post here. Breaking, Chicago Teachers Union just sent out curriculum for public school teachers, and it indoctrinates kids by calling Trump a fascist. Oh, you don't say. So you got a picture of Big Daddy Trump there, right? They don't crop his head out, but you can tell who that is. And then the question is what to expect from authoritarians. They will stoke fear and chaos to keep us off balance. Oh, that was Trump. You don't say. They will make threats to get people to obey in advance. Oh, like your vaccine shot? Get it or lose your job? They will weaponize fear of subgroups to keep us divided and apart. Really, really. And then fascism. What is fascism? Fascism is, and it goes into the definition of it. And this is what they're pushing out at the Chicago public schools. Fascism, a populist political philosophy, movement, or regime, such as that of the fascist, that exalts nation and often race above the individual, that is associated with a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader. And that is characterized by severe economic and social regimentation and by forcible suppression of opposition. And look at that first example they have on there, Trump going after critics, right and left alike. See John Bolton. Gaining government control of corporations to use resources. Anti-union to the core. Eugenics and, oh my God, racialized polarization. Going after cities with black mayors. Oh my God. Suppression of history that goes against the nationalist narrative, e.g. removing black history from stamps in the Smithsonian. Oh my Lord. So that's Chicago public schools, right? Just a cesspool. Just a cesspool of failed teachers who consider themselves important, who do nothing to actually help that community that is struggling. Make sure Trump's a fascist. Make sure everyone knows it. Okay, got it. What is the reading percentage of Chicago public schools? Just real quick, another Grok shirts. I'm just curious to see, oh, there you go. Chicago public schools, in elementary, approximately grades 3 through 8, approximately 40% of kids are proficient in reading. Grades 3 through 8, 40% of kids can read at grade level. The Illinois state average for reading, though, is 53%. So they're 13 percentage points behind the state average on how many kids could read at grade level within your school organization. So I'm glad Chicago is concerned about making sure they passed their new curriculum with Trump being labeled a fascist. I don't know why they're worried about pushing that, because more than half of the kids can't read. What's the point of pushing new curriculum if more than 50% of the kids can't read? Duh, it makes zero sense. Why don't we actually, instead of investing in new curriculum like that, why don't we invest in new curriculum that can actually teach kids how to read first? Why don't we do that first? Because that would actually make logical sense, that you actually want to teach kids how to read and write. But they don't want to teach kids how to read and write because that would require thought and effort. They just want to teach kids what to think. And listen to this clip.
Education is a key component in that society. So, and in this era of AI, what we have to do in terms of education is we have to think about how we teach young people how to think.
So for you that don't know who that is the president of the teachers union, Randy Weingartner. And she was at the WEF forum talking about we have to think about how we teach young people how to think, right? They want to program the kids. They're telling us this all the time with what they put out in front of us, what they say publicly, and yet Anyone going to stop it? Anyone need to wake up, right? The wake-up call is getting everyone you know out of public schools. And Jeff, I just saw your comment. Brother, you need to make good money to do homeschooling. You just need to. To be a family of three, I'm a family of three in Colorado, we got to pull in about $250,000 a year in order for my wife to stay at home and teach my kids. That's impossible. And you said, ask Joe for a raise. I'm not saying I won't, but that's a huge ass raise if I'm asking for one. I ain't gonna get it, you know? So like, you really got to be realistic here. So many Americans can't afford that luxury of pulling their kids out of schools. So what do? You got to go to the schools and fight and claw and talk and get your point noted. Eventually, the squeaky wheel will get the grease, and eventually they'll probably leave your kid alone if you can, and you should be able to opt them out. If you paid attention to Supreme Court rulings, you should be allowed to opt your kid out of some of these equity training sessions that go through the schools. And don't expect the schools to tell you that you can, though. Okay, don't. Schools will make sure they'll let you know that, hey, you could opt your kid out of this test today, right? Cherry Creek does a really good job letting parents know you could opt your kid out of CMAS testing, but I doubt they'll let their parents know that they could opt their kid out of equity or tranny training. I doubt they'll do that. Just another point, right? It's just evil, demonic people that are running the school systems. They have no morals. They have no principles. They're a bunch of liars. And I hate to say that because I was in the field for 17 years, but I saw it. I saw the underbelly. They lie. They double down. They lie again. They will say anything and everything to get what they want. And I'm sitting here 2 years later just waiting for my day in court. But all those people, everyone that's in the higher ups in school districts, they're all corrupt. That's the only way you get to those positions. You don't get there by merit. Merit doesn't exist. You get there by corruption and equity. That's how you get there. Plain and simple. Very few people in education at the leadership levels have good morals anymore. Because it's a conflict of interest. You can't have good morals and be in charge of the educational institution because you'll short circuit and you'll die. Because you can't do it. And that's sad for me to say that, but it's the reality. You cannot have good morals and be in charge of an education system. At least run out here in Colorado, you can't do it. In a blue city, can't do it. If you have good morals, believe that all kids can achieve, regardless of skin color, you can't be in charge. Because the people that run the district won't allow you to be in charge because they don't believe that. Right? So like, it's crazy, but that's the reality of the education system. If you're a good moral person who believes in good quality education for kids, you need to leave the education system because they will grind you out and spit you out once they find out who you are. And they'll use these equity trainings and maybe they'll smoke you out, right? It's entrapment, all these equity trainings. At least that's what I'm learning through my legal battle with Creek. Like, districts can tell you, hey, speak freely. You know, this is a place for growth. You know, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. But if I hear something you don't like, I'm going to fire you. But I'm not going to tell you that, right? It's all entrapment. It's all bullshit. And that's what equity is built on. A bunch of shit, right? It's a bunch of grifters just trying to make money, right? That's not good moral people. Just like that superintendent in North Carolina. To honestly sit there as a superintendent, you should be a highly educated person. But I saw now he was in charge of equity. Kind of curious how he got that job. But you can't sit there and say that's not a problem. And if you sit there and say that's not a problem, what's your moral compass? You don't have one. So if you don't have a moral compass, how could you possibly be in charge of an education system that oversees the education of children? You can't. You're disqualified. But that's me just making logical sense. Shame. Shame on me. But yeah, so you got the worn out children happening on, then you got the uniparty at play, and you got a battle going on in Texas right now, a gubernatorial battle down in Texas. I'm sorry, not gubernatorial, Senate. I'm sorry, they're running for Senate. Sorry, I don't know why I said gubernatorial, because Abbott's running, Abbott's the governor. So yeah, sorry guys, a lot of politics going on in my brain at once. My apologies, but you got to check out this campaign video that John Cornyn put out. Let's play it.
El uno al otro, Texas tiene una mano tranquila y firme cuidándonos. El senador John Cornyn. El senador Cornyn ha luchado para detener el tráfico sexual, especialmente a lo largo de la frontera. Él apoya la reforma policial. Y mientras el senador Cornyn está a favor de fronteras seguras, él apoya firmemente la legalización de los Dreamers.
I'm John Cornyn, and I approve this message.
And you wonder why nothing gets done in Congress without Immigration Save Act, making sure that our elections are secure, our immigration is locked down, because you have the uniparty candidates that need to pander to the illegals that are here. That's why. That's absurd that a Republican is launching a video like that in Spanish talking about gaining citizenship for undocumented immigrants and wanting immigration reform. Well, what is that immigration reform? You want undocumented immigrants that came here illegally to stay here. That's not what the American people want. The American people wanted this past election, they want mass deportations. And even now today, Americans are frustrated that deportations aren't enough. And I agree with that. Deportations are not enough. They're not going enough. I don't want to just, I want to, there needs to be more deportations going on. When you bring 20 million in over 4 years and you only send out 3 million over 4 years, that's a net increase of 17 million people that don't deserve to be here. And then once the government changes hands once again, what type of entitlements and bust outs are going to happen to that 17 million that were able to, finagle and stay in this country? Right? The American people want mass deportations to occur. Plain and simple. Americans are tired of feeling like they're second fiddle in their own country. Americans are tired of calling a customer service line. Press 1 for English, 2 for Spanish, 3 for Somali, 4 for Japanese, 5 for Honduran. No, 1 for English. Right? Just like if you vote here in America, all the ballots should be in English. Why? All the road signs are in English. Why can't the ballots be in English? What sense does that make? How can you vote for a national election if you don't understand what's written in the ballot in the language of the country you're in? It all make it, right? Just like, honestly, why? Right? And we drive on the roads, yield. You see it, right? Written in English, Y-I-E-L-D, stop, S-T-O-P, right? They're short letter, right? 4 or 5 words, right? 4 or 5 letters, but whatever. You got to read it. But our ballots don't need to be in English. Why? And our road signs do. Our ballots are just as important as our road signs. I'll argue our ballots are more important than our road signs because our ballots dictate the policies that impact our day-to-day lives. But these politicians, they don't care what side of the aisle. They don't care, right? They don't care. They do what is best for them. They do what they want to do. They do what their handlers want them to do. They never do what you actually need or want them to do as an American citizen. And then you're going to take a listen to this rep, Lamont Begbie. You got to hear how he views and how he understands urban America. He's in Virginia. Let's play it.
I almost took issue with the other side saying that we don't understand. But I grew up watching the Waltons. I grew up with Opie. I even watched the Dukes of Hazzard. I think I know a little bit about rural America.
Do you hear that? Do you hear him? I know rural America because I watched Opie and Anthony. I watched the Dukes of Hazzard. I grew up watching the Waltons. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if a white guy said, I understand urban city because I listen to Biggie Smalls and I watch BET. Can you imagine what happens if you say that? I understand the city life. I understand black life because of this. Like, give me a break. But yet the Democrats there, the ones that are always so offensive, so offended whenever someone says something harmful about race, sitting there laughing their asses off. That shows you the utter disdain and what they really think of rural Americans. That's what it does. It shows their hatred. It shows what they believe of rural Americans. And it's a shame because rural Americans are the ones that built this country. The rural Americans bring the food to that fat ass's plate every day. He ain't going out there farming. I guarantee he probably doesn't even know how to farm. He might have watched an episode or two and he might say, well, I might know how to farm then. But all in all, this is how they act. This is how they behave. And yet they're the ones that spin around and call us the names. We're the racists. We're the Islamophobes. We're the transphobes. No, we're not. We don't say any of this shit. We don't insult your people to any of that level. All we want is a sane society. And if we were to say anything half remote to the racial level that your chump change boy over there did, we would be racist, black labeled, and strung up like you wouldn't believe. Like, it is absolutely absurd. And they do this all the time. But yet they're the political party who believes they have the moral high ground. Bullshit. They are the racists. They are the fascists. They are the authoritarians. They are the cancer within our country. That's who they are. They are the cancer within our country. They are the host of the cancer within our country because they're used. My apologies. They are used. They're not able to do this on their own. They are the useful idiots. They are the host of the parasite that is destroying our country. But they openly laugh about the discrimination, basic discrimination against white Americans. I understand them because I watch these shows. So that's how you sum up what rural Americans' life is. Okay, so let's do the same for the black Americans in the urban setting. Let's do it that way. But we can't. We won't. We shouldn't. We know it's bad. We shouldn't do it. Like, that's not how it works. Right? Each individual person decides how they're going to live their life. You don't blanket statement somebody like that. But he does. He does. And then we're going to finish with this out of New York City. So we talk about the contempt. We talk about the charade, the lies, the fortress of lies that are built, the fortress of lies that promote the secrecy behind the closed doors. Well, take a look at it in New York City. They got a commission going on about how to set up, how to structure and spend next year's taxes. Take a look at this little investigative reporting.
A group of New York City council members had a really sneaky meeting today.
Speaker, what can you tell me about BNG? What's that? Why is BNG so secretive?
They're all part of an internal working group called the
Budget Negotiating Team.
We staked out their meeting at City Hall today to show you how much they don't want to talk about it.
Would you like to give a little preview of how it works? No. Can you tell me about BNT? Why is it so secretive?
I'm not too sure.
Pete, could you give me an explainer of what it is?
No. The BNT is responsible for leading the months-long negotiations with the mayor's office over the city budget.
But for months, the speaker's team has refused to tell us who is on the budget negotiating team,
describing it as private.
Turns out it's not a very well-kept secret.
And Holly got the list in an afternoon.
It's an exclusive group of about 20 members handpicked by the speaker. Everyone wants to be on it, but it's a lot of work.
We did catch up with some of the members as they were leaving BNT to ask them about it. They may have experienced this as an ambush.
Hi, Councilwomen.
Hello, how are you?
How was BNT? How was it? How was BNT?
I don't think anybody is going to tell you anything.
No, why not?
Because it's the way BNT works.
How was BNT?
You're funny.
So you just have regular people asking 20 representatives that are elected by the people that are meeting about how to plan for the budget next year. Hey, can you tell us anything? Ha 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 ha. No. Nobody from BNT going to talk to you. Just the audacity and just the look at the contempt. You see their faces when they confront. I ain't saying anything. Are you crazy? No, because you don't deserve to know, slave. You don't deserve to know anything. The only thing you need to know is that we keep taking more from you and you're going to keep giving us more because we're telling you that's how it's going to be. And that's what they do. That is what they do. It's what New York is getting returned. They get nothing. They get a rundown, unaffordable city, overcrowded schools, unsafe streets, unreliable public transportation, city drowning in debt, a a socialist mayor, Islamic mayor who has contempt for Americans, who wants to tax the white neighborhoods at a higher rate. He's already pushing Hochul to sign off on taxing second homes valued more than $5 million. And I know that doesn't sound too alarming right now, but it should be, because they're signaling they're going to come after you once you're individually successful. That's the communist playbook, because they got to take from those that work to get it to hand to those that don't. Right? They see someone with a $5 million, oh, you didn't work hard for this. They have no idea about each individual backstory, how someone come to own a property like that. Someone could have worked their ass off, came up with a great idea, and boom, they were able to buy it. So what? That's the American dream. And you kill that American dream by replacing it with socialist Marxist bullshit. And now people don't think they could achieve the next level, or why do I need to achieve the next level when the government's just going to hand me shit? And that's what the Marxists want. They don't want that, like Mandani said, they want to replace rugged individualism with collectivism, with the warmth of collectivism. He's full of shit by that. There is no warmth in collectivism. It is taking from those that have worked, those that have, and give it to those that don't. It's theft. Rugged individualism is what's made America, America. Rugged individualism allows you to choose how you want to live your life. Okay, collectivism. Look how many people died in the name of collectivism throughout the history. They never talk about that. They don't talk about the food shortages in Russia. They don't talk about that, the collective farming that took place. They don't talk about any of that, because it all blew up in their faces and went south because it's not possible. It's the individual that works to get what he keeps. That's what keeps the chains churning. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. But it's the rugged individualism, where I'm going to be able to supply and work and do what I need to do in order to provide for my family. If you don't like the job that you're doing now, you need to think about what you're going to do differently to become better. And that's the roadblock where a lot of Americans just give up and they don't push through anymore. Instead, they just say, oh, no, the government should, I'm entitled to this, boom. And they feel that they're entitled to it because they see other foreigners coming in from all other different countries and coming to America and just getting handouts. So I get the frustration. I see the frustration. I lived it. But at the end of the day, when you import the third world, you're going to become the third world. And if we are going to change out our nation to a nation that believes in the warmth of collectivism, all we're going to have is debauchery and death, because collectivism doesn't work. Name one place it's worked. Show it. Where millions of people weren't killed in the name of it. Because it doesn't happen. Collectivism comes with communism. Communism comes with complete control. Complete control comes with, hey, I could publicly execute you on the spot for not reciting the pledge of my political party. And that's where they're looking to go. Let's take a look here. Gammy, our nation has been co-opted by evil and we have to take it back. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Those meetings should be public. They should be, but you know, even in Colorado, have you guys seen they limited debate on 3 bills coming up? What was it? Birth control on campus? I forgot the other 2. But they just limited speech in the Colorado House. They limited debate on 3 bills because that's what they want to do. Move it along, hush, hush, smack you, no public debate, even though this is what our country is founded on, the exchange of ideas. And that's why the Democrats are so fearful of these debates, right? Because when you get when you get ideas heard publicly and you get people that can articulate these ideas pretty geniusly to the people, the Democrats' policies aren't going to stand a chance. Like, we need to have more debate in this country. We need to start streaming more debates. I would love for any liberal to come on to this show and debate me. I'll take anybody. I just want to debate policy. We could debate economic, we could debate schools, we could debate societal. I want to do it because I actually want to hear and understand why you think the way you do instead of just why you feel the way you feel. And once we get into you trying to explain why you feel the way you do, you won't be able to, and you're going to short circuit. But I would still love that opportunity and love to connect with any liberal that would like to come on the show to debate. I'm all ears. Patrick@untamednation.com. Feel free to reach out. I will answer. I do know I have a couple more emails to answer to from some viewers that want to talk about corruption. I've been real busy, guys. I've been real busy. I will get to the emails. I will give you a call. I know I have the phone numbers in the emails. I will get to you. I promise. Foreigners in BLM don't get thrown in the gulag. Oh, hell no. No way. They get the penthouse, baby. They don't get the gulag treatment. The J6s and Tina get the gulag treatment. You love America, you get the gulag treatment. BLM and those guys, hell no. They get the 5-star hotel. They get the penthouse. They get it all. But let me pray us out. That was a pretty good show today, I thought. Let's pray us out. In the name of the Father, the Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, thank you for the unique and spontaneous opportunity to once again speak to our listeners and share my thoughts and insights into what's going on in this world today. Thank you for providing me this opportunity. Thank you for partnering with Joe. Somehow being hired by this company has just changed my life and given me a new path forward and a lifeline to my family. So thank you, Lord, for that. Thank you, Lord, for a beautiful day and a weekend coming up where I get to see my family and just have a good time with them in this chaotic world we live, just to unplug and just enjoy the time with the loved ones. I enjoy it. I love getting home on a Friday because I got 3 days until I have to come back to work. And don't get me wrong, I love the job I do, but I love my family more. And I miss my family when I'm not with them. But it is a win-win, Lord, that I get to do something that I enjoy while making change in the world. So I appreciate and thank you that, Lord. And once again, Lord, thank you for America First Legal being my legal representation, fighting this chaos of evil. I just thank you for that opportunity, Lord, because without that, there is no way I would be able to take on this battle. My family would not be able to take on this battle. So thank you for connecting me with Lori and America First Legal and Laura Estelle, Ian Pryor, Steve McKenna, Christopher Mills. Just thank you for the time. Thank you for them and the time and effort they have been putting in on my case. We're going to win, Lord. I believe it. There's too many coincidences here. Thank you. I don't want to get ahead of it, but I do believe there's too many coincidences, Lord. You are, and I know it's on your timeline, but there's been a lot behind the scenes, Lord, and I just want to say thank you for all that. It's not been unnoticed. I love you, Grandma, Grandpa, and Dad. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. All right, everyone, try and have a great weekend. Enjoy the nice weather. Joe should be in chair on Monday. Until then, class dismissed.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the nights. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, forever.